Imagine you go on your next vacation, flying out of Orlando. You know, the pilot comes on the intercom and he says, folks, welcome to Delta Flight 5432. We're heading over to Rome. I got good news and I got bad news. The good news is we got tailwinds. And the bad news is we have about a 65% chance of landing there successfully. Buckle up, sit back, enjoy our hospitality, and have a safe flight. If that is what the captain is saying, and you could see the flight attendant about ready to close the front door, are you buckling in comfortably, or are you unbuckling yourself, darting for the exit to be able to not be on this flight? Well, folks, if you like me, I'm probably darting for the exit door. 65% chance of landing successfully is just not good enough. You know, if that's not good enough for your vacation plans, why should that be good enough for your retirement plan? You see, most folks come in to visit with us the first time, and we do this assessment of trying to figure out what the percentage chances of success for them. We find that it's about 60 to 65%. This is the first step in helping you reduce your risk, is understanding what your probability of success is that your money will last you for the rest of your life. Now you might wonder, why is it that it's only 65%? It has a lot to do with what we call the sequence of returns risk. Now let me explain the sequence of returns risk to you a little bit better. You see, there is two brothers, Steve and Bill, and they both wanted to retire. Steve is 10 years older than Bill. Steve retires in 1990, and Bill, he retires in 2000. They both had the same amount of money. They had $500,000 in an IRA, and they were drawing from that $30,000 a year in income for the rest of their lives. Let's take a look at Steve first. First thing I want you to look at is the years and the returns that he experienced in the markets. And what we see with Steve's account is it dropped from $500,000 to $450,000 in the first year, and he was pretty concerned about that. But his advisor said, don't worry, Steve, just hang in there, you're going to be okay. And as the returns changed for Steve, he was able to, after 10 years, be able to sustain his income that he was looking for, as well as that his principal grew to about 1.156 million, as you can see on the screen. Well, Bill always knew, being the younger brother, that he's definitely smarter than Steve. And if Steve can do this, so could he. So Bill retired 10 years later, year 2000, and he experienced a different sequence of returns. As his brother Steve, after the first year, his account was down, and he was concerned. But the same advisor said, don't worry, just let it ride. You'll see how these accounts are coming back. But did it? For Bill, it did not. Bill, after 10 years, was extremely concerned because his account now is whittled down all the way down to slightly above 100,000. He was significantly concerned about his future. Well, what's the difference between Bill and Steve's experience? Folks, we call that the sequence of returns. Look at the returns on the screen that is different from each other. Here's the biggest thing. Do you control the sequence of returns? What is the magical year into which you need to retire so that your sequence of returns will work out? What we found over the years is that it is by chance, unless you plan or create a plan that is by design to be able to avoid this big risk. So there's really 5 things that you can do to control the sequence of returns risk. The first area that I would suggest to you is use technology to show you what your number is, whether you're at 65% probability or not. The second I would encourage you is to look at a detailed spin down plan like the one I showed you. When you start seeing where your money is and from what sources you can pull your income, be very, very important to look at one of those and to design one that makes sense and is designed very specifically to reduce risk. The third thing I would do is I would look at upgrading your investment platform from a reactive platform that is simply not looking forward, simply just buying and holding, letting things ride, to become a more proactive by an active risk management investment platform. And we'll talk a little bit more about that. Then I suggest you also use financial tools to help mitigate your risk. These are financial tools that have been developed during times of major volatility or downturns in the markets, that are tools available to an experienced advisor to bring stability into an overall portfolio. Some people know about these tools and most people don't, but they are certainly available. And then the last thing is, don't ignore long-term care. Plan for long-term health care. It is a large financial risk for those folks who ignores it. So I want to share with you a little bit more about how we plan through the sequence of returns risk. We use the guiding principle of a detailed spend-down plan to know when we might need access to certain buckets of money, and that allows us to use time as a diluter of risk. Practical application is that money that I need in the next 1 to 2 years, you have liquid and available in very low risk areas. Money that it needs to be used in 3 to 5 years, we can afford a little bit more growth on those monies, but they still need to be relatively safe to be able to reduce the volatility risk. And then money that we need very long term in the future, maybe 10 years and on, that's where we'll take probably more of the majority of our risk. And in those areas, we will grow money because we do know that your capital needs to keep up with inflation, and to do so, we need to outperform the inflation rate. So by simply changing the way you look at your spend down, what most people do is that if they have 5 accounts, they will apply the same risk classification among those 5 accounts. We're doing it very, very different to be able to mitigate through the sequence of returns risk. As I mentioned to you as well, is use tools that's available in the industry that provide downside protection. Most folks are thinking that I either have to be in accounts like bank accounts or CDs or money market accounts to be able to have safety, and if I do so, I give up the potential for higher returns, or I need to be in the stock market where it's very, very volatile but also uncertain, but I have the potential of higher growth rates. I want to suggest to you that really good financial tools have been developed, like I said, in down markets that allows you to get the benefit of both upside potential as well as downside protection. You're looking at the screen as a simple example of a tool that will allow you to be able to grow as the markets are growing but not lose when the value of the market's going down. The red line is simply the S&P 500 over the last 20 years, and the gray line is a tool that's available where you can have 50% of the access of the upside, but in years in which the markets are going down, there is no sharing in the down. Your account simply just stays at the same value. And again, you start sharing again when the markets go up. We call these tools stabilizers, and they help during downturns in the markets not to lose more of your capital. The second very concrete action step that I would encourage you to have and to use is to get our completely free risk analysis. We can take a look at your current positions and we can assess the risk that you have. We can also identify areas where we can help you improve your current risk position, meaning making things a little bit more certain, more predictable in the future. If you'd like to take advantage of this opportunity, please click on the link below and request a report like this. Again, it will schedule a 15-minute conversation with us in which we can gather the information from you to be able to generate a report for you. We'll be able to give you the number that I said that technology can produce for you as the probability of success, as well as the number that the level of risk that you're currently taking. And it will allow us opportunities to help you to see if we can reduce your risk.
Thank you for watching the LifeWealth Group YouTube channel. We hope you found this video informative. If you have any specific questions as to what you heard today, don't hesitate to reach out to us for a complimentary phone call or meeting in person. Also, don't forget to subscribe.